We are the Real Bravado Network, and we address Black relationships from an image perspective. Image impacts and influences your life and life experiences. It also determines how you are treated and influence how people interact with you. Image is the reputation that you are known for, which includes your behaviors, your character, and your appearance. There's nothing more damaged than the image of the Black man in America. The Real Bravado Network's next phase of development with our live stream, Have the Conversation, will focus on his image. The Real Bravado Network will be asking, how can a Black man be a leader of his community and home when the vast majority of Black men have never been led? Leadership is taught and a skill that needs coaching, development, and refinement. Over the next few months, we will complete a forensic examination of his image. Please join the Real Bravado Network on YouTube, but we dare to be the bold, not silent.
Welcome to the essence. Sit back, relax, vibe with me. Slides by choice. You know? Yeah, yo, I hit the world with the change up. Now I'm chillin' like Kirk Schilling when it's time to raise the stakes up. My banks, money, makeup. Big D's is back like Jordan, just to come to change the game up. Teddy P with my wake up, precise like electric scales. When the KB flake up, monotony break up. Lick the board up one roll like it was a whole chunk breaker. Swing or get swung on, dug or get dug on, play or get played on, fade or get fade on. I'm from West Coast, so it's known as the dope. Hot topics plus melodics make a pack dance flow. From nothing to this, a playlist, state of bliss, spit venom in eyes like to Jerry with the green mist. Vision this light, rode inside of one night. My bad, you're doing that cause you're in the vibe ride.
Just jumping off with me. Street captain, play the shake, play. Just slide now, tell me can you feeling that vibe? Come on, it's popping off change. Trying to make the vibe just tell me, can you be real with that?
This is the maze of a soulful blaze, and D's keeps hands raised like it was a song of praise. It's on for days, and the nights is even better cause the sun always shines in stormy weather. It's for a heavy yellow resident, present and past, slow or fast, it's the voice that I represent. Vibe makes it evident, and the Midwest status of course makes it even more relevant. Rap gangs through the sky, highlights out the box. Word breaks out of bodies like a case of the speakers box. From the meanest rocks to jazz and reaper spots, dance clubs, beauty shops, cider halls and truck stops. Believe it or not, this whole moment's a glamour shot. I dupe your cats, cause the shit'll get off the pot. Little voice in my head, so show 'em what you got. Take 16 bars and put the game on lock.
Just jumping off with me. Street captain, play the shake, play. Just slide now, tell me can you feeling that vibe? Come on, it's popping off change. Trying to make the vibe just tell me, can you be real with that?
The game goes back and forth, and D's bring order like cases in just Baptist court. I rhyme support, you know, and a 10 plus rap rating means I got dime support. I hold the fort, get too deep to abort. Now Taylor's getting older, I ain't coming up short. Now it's bust till we break bones, cause it's the future riding on when I spit in microphone. My voice bouncing off the time zones, since I'm trying to be your more listeners' ears than dial tones. Reception is crystal clear, especially with a gap of longevity beyond a year. It's all real, I'm on a master plan. In that, build your squad around me like I'm Elton Brand. Put up 20 and 10, cause I'm a grown man. Plus the vibe is love, like an Nazi caravan.
Just jumping off with me. Street captain, play the shake, play. Just slide now, tell me can you feeling that vibe? Come on, it's popping off change. Trying to make the vibe just tell me, can you be real with that? Just jumping off with me. Street captain, play the shake, play. Just slide now, tell me can
I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win every day, I get it in. I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. My phone, you getting hacked for treason. I don't aim to please, do anything I feel. Haters gonna talk, don't listen to the shit. They tryna be like me, they know they can, yo. Can't even get lost, I'm on a pedestal, sitting on my throne. My neck be decked in gold, I don't do no hoes, I've got a queen though. I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win every day, I get it in. I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win every day, I get it in. I'm a king, I told you guys before, ready for the war, to get me way much more. Got the hardest parts, item to my kingdom. Shout out to my fans for pledging your allegiance. You get a reward, the best flow you've ever heard. That'll be mixing with birds. I'm a lion on the surge, always pushing to the edge. Facing I was never scared. For my greatness I'm reserved and only under myself. I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win every day, I get it in. I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten,
tend to
just let it
focus
sing. I don't play, I just
on
win
Black
every day, I
relationships from
get
an
it
image
in.
perspective, and a lot has happened over the last month in on Black YouTube. Primarily the blowing up, or what I'm calling the blowing up of the Black manosphere, and it's caused me to do some thinking about this not so silent, not so quiet war between Black men and Black women, and the different factions that there are out here. You got the Black men, and and within that you got the the Black manosphere. You got the pro Blacks. You got the guys in the middle. You have our what we call our Black feminist modern woman. You got the ladies out here who are supportive of what they call red pill content, which is and so you got this big war going on out here, and then you got the racial dynamics between what happened with the blow up with the YouTube channel Just Pearly Things and her ignorant statement about slavery, and then the fallout amongst that, and then all the men fighting over it in the different factions. And it just got me thinking a lot about what we are doing as a Black race, what we're doing as a family structure and unit, and the fact that they're really we got Black men who are fragmented. We got them in one camp, and you got Black women who are not believe it or not, Black women are not as fragmented as Black men about the messaging. Black women in general are not fragmented at all, not even a little bit. You got a small portion of of Black women who want to be wives, who are trying to reach out to other sisters, who are trying to communicate that the way in which our ladies are behaving with one another are not necessarily productive for us to are conducive for family development. And so, you know, our women are a little bit more on one accord than the actual men, regardless if that one accord is destructive to the overall, you know, growth and development and health of the Black family structure. At least our women, by and large, are at least our women, by and large, are, you know, at least they're on code with one another, regardless if that code is, you know, helpful or not to our bottom line. But our men are nowhere near on code. And the in my opinion, the whole issue around the Just Pearly things over the last month just proved how easily Black men can be taken off message, how easily we can become distracted, and also the fact that we as Black men, you know, we've been talking about for the better part of this year about women, Black, you know, women coming to the men's space and being chameleons. And what I have seen, you know, especially over the last month, and this is hard. This is hard to acknowledge that too many of our Black men, we are the goddamn chameleons. We can't stay on. I mean, no, Black people are not a monolith. But that doesn't mean that there are not certain issues and certain things that we need to be. So next week, during my regular live streams, I'm live streaming Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm going to be addressing something very specific for our women and something very specific for our men. For our women, we're going to really get into a couple things. We're going to get into the issue around quote unquote settling. This is specifically for our women born between, and this is going to cover basically two generations born between 1970 and 2000. Those women, the issue of settling, the 50-50. And then the other thing that I want to talk about specifically on that particular stream, I'm going to start off talking about with our women. And I hate to tell you this, that you and your mothers produced the quality of men that are out here. And you guys need to own that. You guys have to own that. In order for there to be any kind of reconciliation, we have to start owning our pieces of the pie. Instead of, you know, doing the lobbing bombs at each other and sitting back and thinking that everything that we lob over the fence is a damn checkmate move. So we're going to talk about that with our women. What y'all did. Y'all did this. And you're complaining about the quality of men and the fickleness of the men and the Pookies and the Ray Rays and then the guys, the quote unquote 57%, you know, the single childless middle class men who are now becoming passport bros. Y'all created that mess. We're going to get into that. And then for the men, we're going to get into the fact, and I almost hate to say this, we're going to get into the fact that Black men really want to be white men. But what's up, Theo? Let me recognize a few people out of here. I got Messy Michonne, thank you. Put me in, Coach, I want to talk. Messy Michonne, and want to thank her for coming in. My Sexy is Strong. She has a live coming up in about 30 minutes. I'm actually going to go over there and check that out. And my buddy Theo, the Do Better podcast. Check this brother out this morning. This brother cracks me up. Good content creator. I mean, all of y'all, My Sexy is Strong, Messy Michonne. I wish I could be like y'all, man. Y'all, I want to be like y'all when I grow up. Man, y'all are just absolutely phenomenal. And I'm over here slugging into, I think, a cesspool of blackness over here that there might not be no end. There might not be no rescuing of us. But so what I'm going to do today, listen, back in December, Today I'm going to talk about today's live stream, which is not really a live stream. I'm actually going to replay a live that I did in December called Queen Mother. And Queen Mother talked specifically about that live stream, specifically talked about the influence that Black mothers have had on the Black family. Now, the reason why I'm going to do that today is because when I did Queen Mother, I didn't have, not like I got a large platform now, but I didn't have the engagement or the fellowship because I was just getting started out on YouTube that I did. But in order for me to have an effective conversation about what I'm going to talk about with the ladies on Tuesday, a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about, I covered in Queen Mother. So I'm going to play Queen Mother today. I thought I called it, when I was putting it together, I called it my coming out party, which is kind of funny because at the time that I did Queen Mother, I only had like 800 subscribers or something like that, and like 20 people in the chat. But it was a really good stream. The information was very good because it really took a deep dive into what our mothers, from a historical standpoint, have done to the Black family and to Black men. And so I'm going to replay that stream because that's going to set up for what we're going to do live on Tuesday. Okay. So, and then also what I'm probably going to do tomorrow is replay. I did a live stream at the beginning of the year with the men called it was a series, but it was called the Black Man Can't Lead series. But I'm going to play a particular the second live from that, which was about buck breaking. So we're going to play that. So that's what we're going to do today. But before I get to Queen Mother in just a second, for those of you who are listening or watching live, you can watch Queen Mother. Those of you who got to go do your own live, thank you for stopping by. But it's going to be, I think Queen Mother is going to be very relevant. But before we do that, I just want to take a second. And by the way, my lights are out because my lights are out. My electricity's not out. But in the space that I do it, for some reason, the lights are not coming on. I don't know if the power is out in this room, or no, it can't because I'm streaming. But maybe the outlets and everything. But I want to take a second and just congratulate Maggie, the substitute teacher. She hit 20,000 subscribers today. Just a few weeks ago, Maggie was only at 2,000 subscribers. She does host a cooking channel, and since I like that dark look, yeah, me too. Because I'm not a gorgeous man, so anything that can hide the fact that I'm not a gorgeous man helps me out too. But Maggie, the substitute teacher, has been on a real terror in this space in the last few weeks as far as her growth, her development, and her success. And so I just want to go ahead and shout her out for her 2,000 subscribers today. She had a cooking episode that dropped today. I watched most of it. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I was triggered by some of the stuff, especially when the host called her a girl. That kind of got to me. A 26-year-old woman calling a 47-year-old woman a girl is, yeah, maybe just me, and I'm just oversensitive about stuff like that. I don't know. But I just want to shout out to Maggie right now. But without further ado, everyone, I want to go ahead and get to Queen Mother. It was I think it was a really, really good live. So we're going to get to that. And for all of you guys that dropped by just to say hello and to shout me out right now, thank you. I appreciate it. Let me put that up on the screen. Yep, Maggie hit 20K. She's a shot that had over 1 million views. Yeah. That's how you do it. That's how my channel got started growing. A short goes viral. Yeah. And she's doing it. And she's shout out to Maggie. And she's doing her thing and taking full advantage of it. And she seems to be a very genuine woman. I've had the pleasure of talking to her offline a couple times, and how she is on screen is how she is off. And those are the best, content creators, when you're just authentically you. Okay. Without further ado, let's get to Queen Mother. I think you guys are going to enjoy this. Okay.
Know where did all the trust go?
if you're not there on, if you're not.
We're in sight. How do we honor the job when the job has led to the poorest outcomes for Black people in America? Many men like Tupac and Boyz II Men have memorialized Mom in chart-topping songs, and those became anthems in their own right. How do you reconcile celebrating Mom and putting her under examination at the same time? Welcome to a special edition of Have the Conversation. We are producing a 2-part live streaming series on our YouTube channel, Real Bravado Network, entitled Queen Mother. Part 1 is entitled Black Woman to the Rescue. Part 2 we are calling Rise of the Woman King. On Have the Conversation, we have pressure-tested conversations. This 2-part series will defiantly pressure test the role Black moms played in the current state of Black relationships and families. Hopefully, this 2-part live stream will be a first step in reclaiming our image and bridging the divide between Black men and Black women. We can't complete these objectives without a forensic examination of her image, his image, and our collective image. Please enjoy the special edition of Have the Conversation, Queen Mother.
We are back. We are back. We are back. And we are the Real Bravado Network, and this is Have the Conversation. And this is going to be one heck of a conversation, okay? All right, before we get started, do me a favor, a huge favor. Go to Real Bravado Network on YouTube if you're not there on YouTube, and search Real Bravado Network on YouTube, and go ahead and hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button for us as well. Also, if you want to be a part of the conversation, I believe it's already in the comment section. I want you to go, I dropped the link to join us on the stream, to participate on the stream. Go ahead and click the link. Let me put it in there again. Let me go ahead and put it there again. All right. Put it there and again. It's in the link. I mean, it's in the comment section. Click the link. You can join us on today's special edition of Have the Conversation, Queen Mother. All right, some housekeeping rules. I have a few friends with me today. They're down offline right now. But for those of you that are offline, let me just reiterate some of the things we were talking about offline. Feel free to on your devices. Feel free to go ahead on YouTube and go ahead and chat in the chat. If you got something to say about the presentation, please put it in the chat on YouTube. If I put your comment on the screen, I will also bring you up onto the platform to discuss what you wrote on the stream as well, okay? So make sure you do that. You do that for me, all right? Other than that, also, if you are logged in or streaming live on your computer, make sure that we are the only thing that you have open on the desktop, all right? Because sometimes we get a lot of feedback on the stream when we do that, all right? So I think that's a little bit of a conversation. Today is a very special show, and we are about to go ahead and get to it, all right? All right, so hold on a second, everybody. All right. So when I started the Real Bravado Network channel here on YouTube, I started with this live streaming show that we do right now called Have the Conversation. I decided to engage the live stream in 3 different phases: her image, his image, our image. We started about 4 or 5 months ago. We began with our first phase of the stream, which was her image. And most of my life, I never really put much stock into anything related to image. Up until like the last few years, I viewed image as this abstract, superficial thing that people with no substance actually cared about. I thought it was all about perception. People worried about perception. But as I began to really reflect over the last few years on that mindset, I came to the understanding of how short-sighted that was. Image is just a bit more than perception. When taken seriously, meaning image, it's nowhere near a superficial concept. Image impacts your life experiences. Image is the reputation that a person is known for, which includes their behaviors, our character, and obviously our appearance as well. All three of those things make up your image. The main part of understanding the concept of image is the fact that it focuses on your reputation. So, what is our reputation, meaning Black people? What is our reputation today? What is the reputation that Black people are known for today? When answering that question, does something positive come to your mind or not so much? What are the current behaviors or character or our appearance that we are known for right now? Today, are we proud of our collective image? How do we stack up against other cultures in this country? Are we winning? What about your family image? When someone finds out that you are a what? A Johnson, a Williams, or whatever, what do they think? You know, my father, he's an Adams. So when somebody finds out that I'm an Adams man, they automatically understand that oh, that's an Adams. He's hardworking. You know, he's hardworking. The Adams men in general are very.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Mechanically, I'm not y'all, but in general, most of the Adams family men are. The Adams men were family first men. We're family first. We're stubborn. We're hard-headed, but we don't fear anything. Now, when you're an Adams woman, what does that mean in general? An Adams woman, strong-willed, musically gifted, very creative, also family first. Well, the Adams girls are more like sisters first, and then the rest of y'all can come along for the ride. But they're still family focused. They're Christians. The Adams girls, they're a force of nature. When you imagine the average Black woman today, what does she look like? What is her behavior like? What imagery comes to mind today? Like I stated a few moments ago, when I started the stream, I wanted to address Black people relationship issues from an image perspective. And I decided to do that in 3 different phases, you know, examining her image, his image, and lastly, our image. In the last 4 months of this stream, I've been dedicated to the issues that have been impacting our Black woman's image today. This stream today will begin a 2-part examination of the power structure within Black culture. And that power structure is our women. More specifically, our mothers. Normally, when you are going to put Black mothers under examination for whatever the reason, you have to give a qualifier that makes, you know, to try to put it out there to let everybody know that you have no intention on dragging mama. I believe in complete accountability. There will be no qualifiers today. Take what you want from this stream, but this is an examination. So strap in and let's get to work, okay? Let me introduce myself. My name is Tavares Moore, and over here at the Real Bravado Network on Have the Conversation, we address Black people issues, Black people relationship and family issues from an image perspective. That's what we do over here. That's what we have been doing since we started this stream. I want to introduce everybody to somebody. I call her Queen Mother. Let me explain who Queen Mother is. But hold on, but before we get there, let me say this. I've stated over multiple live streams that Black women tend to take on issues and responsibilities that's not theirs. When our Black women do this, I affectionately, or somewhat affectionately, call this Black woman to the rescue. Those are our two main topics today. But we'll get to that in a minute. But first, all hail Queen Mother. Queen Mother is the most revered or reverend, however you want to look at it, concept in Black America. That's right. I'm talking about mom. For Black folk, mother is something very different than other cultures. Not saying that mothers are not valued or important or loved by other cultures, but with Black people, mom is something different, something special. It's on another level. Mom, for the most part, is untouchable, or the concept of mother for Black folks is untouchable. To approach somebody's mom with any level of disrespect, no matter how unintentional, you are going to have problems with our people. Problems. There's hardly any word in the English dictionary that can describe the esteem that mom is held in with Black folks, like the level of regard that we hold mother in. It's almost undescribable how much reverence we place on our mothers. Don't matter if you're a girl or you're a boy, especially if you're a boy. Now, if you don't have a decent relationship with your mother, in Black America, we give you the side eye. There are women who won't date a man who got a problem with their mother, got an issue with their mother. There are men who will not deal with a woman who has a fractured relationship with her mother. It's automatically assumed in Black culture that if you don't have a decent enough relationship with your mother, then you did something. Because what kind of person don't get along with their mother? And if mother did do something that warranted the fracture, then there's something wrong with you for not forgiving your mother. Because remember, at the end of the day, she's your mother. And you only have one of those. We will never let you forget that when it comes to mother. Now, with single motherhood being nearly 80% for Blacks, that means virtually every Black person under the age of 55 in this country was raised exclusively in a woman-led home. We'll talk about later if is that a good thing or a bad thing. We'll get into that later. In many of our families, there's no trace of a man anywhere. Fathers are gone. Uncles are gone. Where are the grandfathers? Even cousins, male cousins. They are nowhere to be found. Where are they? I mean, they're there, but they're not there. They're not present. And what does this mean? What does this mean? Or what has this meant to the Black family structure? All right, let's specifically define Queen Mother. Who is she exactly? Well, let me tell you. Queen Mother are the Black women that hold all the power in the home, in the community. They dominate all of their relationship terms, and they are the chief decision makers and chief authority members in the family. Let me say that one more time. Queen Mother, she holds all the power in the home, all the power in the community, dominate all their relationship terms, and are the chief decision makers and chief authority within the family. That is Queen Mother. All things Black are controlled by Queen Mother. That's a lot of power. And our mothers have no problem wielding that power over the family, even if doing so causes poor outcomes, poor outcomes. All hail Queen Mother. Now, let me be perfectly clear. What I'm doing with this stream tonight, there's nothing more dangerous than what I'm doing right now, or more taboo than providing any type of encroachment of Queen Mother's image within Black America. And especially if I put under examination her authority. So I'm about to talk about what happens when you challenge Queen Mother's authority, or when you approach or get into her image. Now, even though motherhood is such a vital role in the continued development of a culture, when you cross Queen Mother, let me tell you something. She's mean, she's unkind, she's nasty, she's irrational, she makes poor decisions, she's unhealthy emotionally and physically. She becomes irresponsible, she's selfish, and she's also uncompromising. When you challenge Queen Mother, that is what you have to look forward to. Our mothers cannot be challenged, questioned, or defied. This dynamic is so strong that even those of us who are negatively impacted by this will defend and rationalize this cultural norm to a fault. We will say things like, Mom did the best she could, even if that outcome that are produced provided a major disruption or displacement to the family. Queen Mother's authority shall not be broached, cracked, or impugned. Everyone in the family is programmed to defend Queen Mother. Even if you systematically outline how her decisions negatively impacted one of her children or her own personal outcome, Queen Mother will always typically unleash her fury to challenge or go against, could land you excommunicated from the family. This behavior to not challenge mom or offend mom is even preached from the pulpits of nearly every Black church, from Baptist to Pentecostal, from Methodist to AME. Boy, that's your mama. The only thing in Black America that's more important than mother is Jesus. And I'm quoting my cousin here who's going to be up in just a second. Everybody know ain't nothing more important to Black folk than Jesus. All right. Before we move on and go a little bit further, I am going to tell a very personal story. I'm going to bring up someone in my family on the stream for this segment right here. Khadijah, you there? I don't see you on screen. Okay, here we go. I'm going to tell a very important story about what happens when you challenge Queen Mother. Now, what I'm about to tell you, the story itself is not the story itself isn't what's important. What the rationale for what happened is what I'm trying to identify today. So as I tell the story, try not to make a judgment on the actual behavior. We're going to just stipulate that what she did probably was not necessarily the most sound thing to do. But the issue is, and the issue with Queen Mother is the rationale, challenging the authority. So here we go. I'm going to try to be quick about this story, okay? So I was in high school. I was entering my senior year of high school, okay? Now, I was raised by my grandmother. My grandmother has 7 children, her oldest being my mother. I was taken out of my mother's home by my grandmother at a very, very young. I was about 6 or 7 years old. So my grandmother was raised me. My grandmother, people never believe this when I tell them, my grandmother actually legally adopted me. So, but my grandmother also had a son that was a year older than me. Of her 7 kids, up until the point where I became a senior in high school, all 7 of her children never made it past the 10th grade. They all dropped out. From my mother all the way down to her youngest son, which is a year older than me, and we were raised in a house, in my grandmother's eyes, to be brothers. But he dropped out in the 10th grade. I kept going. He also was a major disruption behaviorally within the home. So I'm just giving you some kind of backdrop to this. So one day, chores were very strong and heavy in my grandmother's house. And at this particular time, he was in and out of the house. Even though he was a minor, he was still in and out of the house. So, but one night I was doing homework. My grandmother got through cooking. We ate dinner, all this, and there were other people in the house. My grandmother, adult children were in the house. She had her uncle in the house. So there were many people in the house, but this was my night for the chores. So I go clean the kitchen, and cleaning the kitchen is not just washing the pots and pans and stuff like that. It's cleaning the stove, the refrigerator. It's mopping, disinfecting the countertops, organizing stuff, taking out the trash. It's a full service, could be 2-hour job. I do this. When I finish, sit back down to work on my homework. A few minutes later, her son and his girlfriend walks in the door. He has this great bright idea that he's going to cook her a meal, steak and some other stuff. This boy ain't never cooked a day in his life. So this was going to be an entertaining venture to watch this brother who ain't never cooked a day in his life try to cook some steak, mac and cheese, and baked potatoes and all this other stuff. To say that this was a disaster of epic proportion, it doesn't do it justice. It's kind of one of those things you had to be there to see it. Well, when he destroys the kitchen, the food, and everything that went with it, he decides, well, forget this. We'll just go to Burger King. So they leave. A few minutes after they leave, my grandmother comes. During the whole time, she's in her bedroom. She comes out of her bedroom. She walks in the kitchen. She sees the utter disaster that's in this kitchen. And she looks at me and she goes, I need you to clean this up. Mind you, throughout I was never the child that was that defiant of my parental authority. I typically just I found it easier to get what I want just to go along with the program, But this day, I don't know what it was. There was no going along with that program that day. I was tired. I still had a lot of work to do with my schoolwork. And I told her, I said, I don't know why you think it's okay that I have to go clean up behind grown folks every time you decide that I need to clean up behind them. I'm the child of the house. Shh. Man. I knew I was in trouble the moment that stuff flew out of my mouth. I knew I was in trouble. But I had no idea how bad it was going to get. Because what happened after that, even when I think about it, still shocks me to this day. And we're talking about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night during this time of the year when it gets dark early, This woman, my grandmother, flies into a full-fledged rage. She starts throwing stuff at me. Anything she could find, I got launched at me. Screaming, yelling, and then she ended it with, get your shiati and get out of my house. I didn't believe her.
She lost control.
What you say?
She lost control. She no longer had control. So therefore, you challenged her authority. So the only thing that can give her back power is to put you out of the home.
Yeah, and I didn't believe her. I went upstairs to my bedroom. I didn't believe her. Closed the door. This woman flew up the stairs, kicked the door open. She had, I don't know if it was, I'm very fuzzy on this, either a long, thick stick or she had like the butt of a shotgun that she used to keep in the house. I don't know which one of those, but she had it in her hand. And the woman was more than insistent on me getting out of the house. Right then, right there. I'm a senior in high school. I have a full academic ride to college. This has never happened in my immediate family. Remember, all 7 of her children never made it past the 7th grade. the 10th grade. She throws me out. Little night.
So, question.
Uh-huh.
So, with that being said, we're talking about Queen Mother, and everything that you actually described about a woman is out of her ordinary design of nature. Women are nurturers by nature. Now, when you throw women into positions in which they are out of alignment, therefore women actually develop more testosterone. Now, we have estrogen. Yes, we start off with testosterone, but it turns into estrogen. And when it can no longer, but when women are thrown outside of their natural habitat of being nurturers by nature, we actually tend to pack on more testosterone. So that makes us more manly, more aggressive. But by nature, that is out of our alignment. We don't know how to actually formulate that extra testosterone. And because of the fact that God is so brilliant and our bodies are so magnificent, the testosterone has to go somewhere because it's not turning into estrogen. So that's why women actually develop more fibroids. So we have a lot of women that have fibroid problems, endometriosis and things of that nature. But when you describe Queen Mother and all of the problems in which you're having, you also talking about women who are actually acting like men because there is no men inside of the home and there is no men around. She has to also take on that manly role, a role that we are not given by nature. So what you're trying to do is having a mother who is a nurturer by nature happen to assort herself as a man. And when she assorts herself as a man, of course, women are going to do it off balance. So therefore, we are emotional by nature. We are nurturers by nature. And so when we have to assort ourselves and take on manly roles, we're going to do it from an emotional standpoint because that's what we know. So when that situation, if there was a man around, if there was a father around, then those things would not happen because of the fact that fathers are providers and protectors by nature. And if you are inside of a balanced home, then a father and a man will bring balance to that situation. And oftentimes you have a lot of single mothers who happens to be raising males, but these males are emotional because of the fact that they have not had that balance of actually being in a position to be around men. So men check other men. Men check boys when they get out of alignment and out of a line. But men also check women when they overstep that boundary. So therefore, when we're talking about Queen Mother, we're talking about a woman who is absolutely out of balance because she has to step up in a role that she has no position in by herself.
Yep, like that. Perfectly said. Now, years later, multiple years later, in my mid-20s, I ended up talking to her about this on two separate occasions in my life. The first time we talked about it, we was actually sitting around. I was probably closer to 30. And we were sitting around with her girlfriends, and I brought it up. I forget what the conversation was about, but I brought it up as to, I said, yeah, you know, because she was talking about how she didn't take no mess out of her kids and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, you threw me out because I wouldn't clean up behind your son. And her response to that was, this is now over a decade later. Her response was like, you should have known better.
You don't challenge her authority.
And here's the thing. I was a senior in high school. I've never been back under her roof since that moment. So what, hold on a second, Khadijah. So what was that? That was a challenge to her authority. She was mean, unkind, nasty. She was irrational. She made a poor decision. She threw a young man who was on the verge of a college career on the streets during a time where that was very, very unsafe. We're talking about at the peak of the height of the gang, drug, and culture war. Threw me to the wolves. Poor decision making. It was emotionally, and you can determine physically unhealthy. It was irresponsible of her. It was selfish. And other people in the family, once the news got out that what she did, other people in her family, her aunties, her uncles, her cousins on her age level, confronted her. What are you doing? She was uncompromising. The outcome could have been tragic for me had I not been built the way I was built. I lived with my great aunt for the remainder of my school year, worked a little bit over the summer, and then when it was time to go to college, went off to college, and the rest is history. And let me tell you something. That was some of the darkest days of my life, the college years. I couldn't fully enjoy the first few years of my college years because during the first 2 years of my college years, I was cut off from the family. No one contacted me. No one knew where I was at. There was no attempt to reach out. All because I decided to defy Queen Mother. And her rational Theo, I'm going to give Theo the comment of the day on this stream. And when somebody drops a bomb, this is what we do. Rationale for that. Now, I talked to her again about it about 5 or 6 years ago, and magically, unfortunately, she says she doesn't remember. But the problem, what would happen, was the fact that someone challenged her authority. We often have talked about on our various streams about, you know, male leadership in the home or male leadership within Black culture. There, and I'll get into this a little bit as we develop onto the stream. There is no space for male leadership in there. Where were you at, Khadijah, when that was happening? I think you were in Georgia at that time, right? Were you in our hometown?
No, I had moved away. Senior year in high school, no, I had moved away.
Yeah,
But
because you disappeared on me. Yeah.
of course, I had my own involvement with Queen Mother, but what we're talking about is that we're talking about you challenged the authority. And because you challenged the authority, she had to some kind of way gain back control over the situation. Because as a single woman, and you are a male, and as a single woman, she has to actually exude power, and you challenge that power. Now, if you actually get the upper hand over that power, not only do she lose you, she also, it's a domino effect, she also loses the power over the other 7 that is right there along with you. So for her mindset is that this is a male child, this is a male child that is under my roof, and I must gain control at all particular times. And that goes back to stating that women out of alignment, of her nurturer role, she will make irrational emotional decisions based on her emotions because of the fact that we are emotional creatures by nature. We cannot expect a woman to make rational decisions that men should normally make. And because of the fact that she is taking on the role as a mother and a father, because there is no father inside of the home to bring balance, she is absolutely out of balance in all situations. So therefore, she did what she thought was the best thing for her to do at that particular time, in which act upon her emotions, because that's the only framework in which we know how to act on, because that's our nature.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I don't think our family is the only family dynamic, Khadijah, that's Queen Mother heavy. What was it like for you as a lady growing up in that environment?
As a female inside of our family, we know that we are female heavy. We have women that are dominating because we have top heavy. There is very successful women, mothers, grandmothers, aunties, they run the show. And as a woman actually coming up inside of this family, you know that you have obligations in which you have no other choice but to run the show. Now, it's not until you become an adult and you get older and you have interactions with other people around you that you realize that your family is out of balance. And oftentimes we have the conversation, hey, where are the men? And I had a father. My father was not inside of the home, but I had a father, in growing up, developing that relationship with him and being able to ask questions later on, you realize that, like you said, there was no room for the male perspective because it was not there. And oftentimes, when you see the imbalance inside of the family, it is just not you that has the imbalance. It did not come from our mothers, our grandmothers. This is what we're talking about, is generational traumas. If you sit back and you look at the family, you would see that everything in which that you're going through inside of your family is not just you. It comes from generation. It's ancestral trauma. So if you look back and you see that something is going on, you notice that this is not just your problem. Look at your mother. You would see that your mother was going through the same things that you were going through. Look at her mother, and then look at her mother. You would see a pattern inside of your family that's going on. I like to say that, as parents, we actually pour into our children the best of us. And if the best of us is sick, then we only pour into our children the best of our sickness. And what we actually see as the lineage and all of this that's going on, we actually see a pattern of ancestral trauma, because it just did not start with our parents. It actually started before our parents, and they are just repeating the pattern.
Absolutely. All right, Khadijah, I'm gonna bring you right back. I'm gonna bring up this fella Hezekiah on the screen, and let me see if I can get him to clarify his comment. Okay.
Sure.
All right, Hezekiah.
Yes. Hey, how you doing?
Appreciate the comment.
Yes. You know, growing up, we was always taught that grandma, she was the authority. She made the sound decisions for the family. She was the one that you go through when you had problems. And like for me, like I'm getting emotional now because like you was telling your story. I remember in our household, we was going through domestic violence at the time. And my mother went to her for a sound decision. And she told my mother to deal with it because that's just who he is. Now, mind you, if my father was abusing my mother and she told her to just stick and stay, and that's just who he is because that's her son, that is not a sound decision. And like Khadijah was talking about generational curses and generational violence, like maybe if my mother didn't stay as long as she did, that could have changed the outcome of who me and my brother became at the end of the day. Or it would have took a different path for her to find herself and be and raising us in a different way. But that sound decision right there to not tell her to leave, but to stay when you know you're going through trauma and you know you're going through this every night. But to stick and stay, that was one of the decisions. It's like, man, that's not a good decision.
Right. Absolutely, Hezekiah. Thank you. Thank you. We'll get back to you shortly. All right. To piggyback on something that Khadijah was just talking about, being out of the natural order of things. The Bible talks about the natural order of things. You know, it talks about the Trinity, you know, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. It also talks about the order, man's order of things. God, man, woman, child. I'm being very I'm not being verbatim with it. Man answers to God, woman answers to man, children should answer to the mother, and then we all report upward. Got that line from Kevin Samuels, but it's profound. In Black families, right now, the order thing, it's mother, and then there's everybody else. The Black family structure right now is built and centered around Queen Mother's respect, her authority, and the attitude that the children are exclusively hers and hers alone, and she has the last and final say. The father is only allowed input at her discretion. We all know that, you know, she believes that she's the only one that made you and raised you. And her position as chief authority makes her the only parent that matters. Ask any man raised by a single mother, which is about 80% of us. Mom is protected no matter what. And please, if you are an adult male in the family, try not to develop any sense of manhood. That will not work. Even if you are 50 or a 60-year-old man, when you walk into your mother's home or be in her presence, the Black man is still expected to fall in line behind Queen Mother's authority. And don't forget to check your manhood at the door. I now, at my age, have this battle with my grandmother at this stage of life because she continues to talk and treat me like I'm a teenager, and I have to remind her. And the one thing that we, as in our culture, that we are very leery to do with Queen Mother is to challenge Queen Mother. The worst thing that Queen Mother could have done to me has already been done. So I challenge her authority. I made it a fun way, and try to make it not so threatening to her, which is what we shouldn't have to do. I make my grandmother call me the tribal chief, head of the table. Yep, absolutely. And she does it sarcastically, but I don't care. And then I also have to remind her that it's not her job to come to my aid. It's my job to come to my own aid. Or if I, had a wife, it's her job. We're always having, if you're the male in the male in the dynamic, mom will make you surrender your manhood to her just for being in her presence. We're the only culture that does that. We cannot have you slinging your manhood around Queen Mother. Queen Mother finds this disrespectful. And the thought process behind that is this: if it wasn't for her, you wouldn't have survived. You wouldn't be here. I've heard that for years. I've also heard it doesn't matter what your mother do, she's still your mother. Those of you that are in the chat, if you've heard or said anything on that line, please put a 1 in the chat for me. How many of us, oh Lord, how many of us have caught ourselves repeating that same slogan over and over and over again? Hey, Miss Black Diamond, how you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
You still with us, huh? I ain't ran you off yet?
No, I'm here.
I ain't ran you off with I ain't being too hard on Queen Mother. I ain't run you off yet?
No, but you made some statements that about your grandmother, and you had also mentioned earlier that when it comes to somebody's mother or grandmother, you don't say anything. So I won't make a remark as far as what you said, but there's more to one way of looking at the statement that you made regarding your grandmother. So I'll just keep that back, because I'm a grandmother now. So I'm not saying whether I would do that, but I just have something else to think about with that statement. But I always heard my mother say that one mother can take care of 8 children, but 8 children can't take care of one mother. And I grew up hearing that statement over and over again, but I would not dare ask her what she meant by that, because I knew it was something strong. So I let it go. Well, my mom is now 97 years of age, and she's living with me now. So I think I kind of understand what she meant by that. I'm still hesitant to ask her that question.
Miss Diamond, you got to ask her. She's
97
I'm
hesitant to ask that question because I remember that what we didn't call a side eye then, what I might get now from her. So I'm going to let that be, because I got a feeling I know what it meant. And I think that I'll keep that to myself, because it must have meant a lot for her to make that statement in the way that she made it. And I think I'm going to take something back. I said my mother's living with me. My house is now my mother's house.
Oh, Lord.
So that's the way. No, not in a bad way.
Okay.
Not in a bad way, because I take a lot of her values that she's.
Oh, okay.
And I brought it into my home. So I can proudly say that my house is now my mother's house. Now I still pay the rent, but my house still is now my mother's house. So I get a lot of what you're saying, and I look back at some of the things that have occurred with my mother, and I look back at my life at the same time, growing up in the home that I grew up in, and I took some flack on a book that I had written called In My Mother's House. And these were the things that was happening in the house that I thought that was happening. And it was basically based on me. But when others read the book, people felt a certain type of way. And things were said that things that happened in the house should have stayed in the house, the Vegas rule. But when you come up in certain houses, not just mine, in many of houses, because of the work that I do, in many houses, things happen in people's homes that when the outside world don't know about it, you can't help the individuals that's in the home. You know, I get when they say don't tell your business. Certain business should be told. And this is me talking at the time that I was a child, of things that may have happened or should have been told that others did not know, that I not say. I waited till I was an adult, way in my 40s, before I revealed certain things, and it became an issue for other people. So of course I wasn't going to say anything against my mother, and it wasn't something that she did wrong. So I'm not saying that, but it was things that was happening that came out in the open. And when I look back at some of the things that she said, like what she had just mentioned, what I had just mentioned, I think I kind of understand what she meant by one mother taking care of 8 children and 8 children not taking care of one mother. So I do get that. I'm probably going to get some flack by that, but I don't think some people sat around my mother to truly understand who she is or what she was about to know what that statement would be. So I don't think that I would ask. I think that I do understand now what she meant by that.
Okay. Hey, Mr. Frederick and Miss Angela, how y'all doing?
What's going on, bro?
Hey, so what do you think so far? Mr. Frederick, am I dragging Queen Mother? or is this a fair assessment so far?
You know what? I think that, at the end of the day, there's accountability that has to be taken or had. And if there's no accountability, then if someone's not there to say, hey, you're wrong, then there's really no accountability. I mean, if someone's gonna get dragged for pulling Queen Mother to the rug and saying, hey, you're wrong for that, or you need to be a little bit more nicer with your words, then that's. But there's an inherent fear factor in that, because like you said earlier, and like you said earlier in the beginning, how nobody ever dares cross Queen Mother, or else there's gonna be some consequences, sometimes dire.
As Bernie Mac says, gonna be some furniture moving around here.
Exactly, bro. Exactly.
Yeah, Angela, what do you think?
Or Queen Auntie, because in my case, it was Queen Auntie. Of course, I lost my mom 12 days after my 16th birthday, so I'm sitting here listening to you, and I can that experience that you had with your grandmother was round about the same experience that I had with my aunt. So I truly can relate. Here I was, finna be the first female in my family to go off to college with a scholarship. Nobody ever done this in my family. So I truly can relate. And I take you the place that it put me. But some people, like you say, some people are not able to recover, and some people are. And it's about, it's all about the person in the wheel. I look at a lot of people, and they say that because grandma did it, because auntie did it, or because other family members did it, it's just going to be a continuous cycle. But you can break that cycle. And I think that's where a lot of us right now, a lot of us that's even on this platform, and a lot of us that are in this right now, we are breaking those cycles, because we've come to the realization that we don't have to accept what's been going on for years and it's being passed down to us. We can come out of this. We don't have to no longer be quiet. We don't have to keep things under the wraps, because this is what has been happening. Because people have been hurting.
Oh,
and
yeah. And let me tell you something. This is not like, I really don't know how to describe it. When you have an imbalance, I don't care if it's in a family structure, on the job, in your life, when you have an imbalance of anything, it ultimately will lead to destruction. You have to have a balance. So let me finish this up real quick while I have you guys. I'm actually going to bring up a couple more people in a second. So let's talk a little bit about the fact that she's in charge and how long that's been. Over 50 years, 55 years or so, our Black women have been completely in charge and in control of the Black family structure. And its dynamic, its political leanings. For 50 years now, Black women have raised all the children. So if our Black women, our mothers, have been the heads, the leaders, the decision makers, then who do we hold?
It was not by choice. It was not by our choice.
We will get into that later. I don't necessarily know if that's true or not. We can have
always a choice.
So who do we hold responsible? If you guys are in complete control for 50 years or more, who do we hold responsible for where we are today? If Queen Mother is the provider, protector, leader, chief decision maker, chief authority, if she's essentially the man, what does that make Black men. We're gonna pause it right there. Queen Mother. If you want to see the rest of it, you can go back onto my YouTube channel and look for Queen Mother. There are two. It was a 2-part series on Queen Mother, and we're gonna actually get very specific about the issues that our ladies have brought up, especially the current decision for our women to go at it alone, and the fact that our women often talk about they're not going to settle, and the fact that our women are asking for and requesting and demanding 50-50. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that Tuesday on Tuesday night stream. Like I said at the beginning of this, I know there are some of you that are listening right now that were not here at the beginning of the live stream today, as we get ready to wrap up a little bit. But after the apparent implosion of the Black manosphere and the Black YouTube space over the last few weeks with this Just Pearly Things debacle and how the men responded to it, this really, for me, just really resonated with me on just how badly we are fractured and how easily we are drawn off mission, and how we really need to probably have it out with each other. Black men need to go to war with each other. I'm not even talking about a physical war, but we need to go to war with each other. There are too many fractures within Black men. There's nothing that we're on code about. We got too many men talking about we're not a monolith and nobody can speak. There are just some things in this life. There are just some things that are universal. Not every Jewish person get along or see eye to eye, but you know what you're not going to do? You're not going to go out there and trash the Holocaust. You ain't going to do that. There's not a one of them that's going to break ranks on something like that. But with Black people, you could come into us, disrespect us, and you will have tens of millions of Black people breaking ranks on something that should not be breaking ranks on. And then the fact that these same men will sit around talking about what kind of respect that they want. And you want respect, and you don't have a code, you don't have a sense of ethics or values or principles that are unwavering. So next week's live stream, we're going to do a live stream on next Tuesday evening at 7:35 Central. Next Wednesday evening, 7:35 Central. With Tuesday, we're going to be talking specifically about our women, about your not wanting to settle, your 50-50 attitude, and how that impacts your ability, and how it impacts your ability to continue to build a family. It doesn't. And then on Wednesday we're gonna talk to our men. Are you willing to do what's necessary to get the respect? You're always talking about what your white male counterparts got, what your Hispanic brothers got, but they got something that we don't have. So I want to thank you guys. I just wanted to give you guys a recap of Queen Mother, because Queen Mother is going to really, that is the foundation of what we're going to be dealing with, especially with our women on Tuesday. And then tomorrow we're going to take a look back at a stream that I did. It's called Black Men Can't Lead, and where we talk specifically about buck breaking. And that's going to lead into what we're going to do Wednesday with our men. Okay. For those of you who join me for this stream that was not on my normal time, I want to thank you. I want to thank quite a few people who came in. Once again, I want to thank Messy Michonne from Messy Michonne Live. I want to thank My Sexy is Strong from the cooking channel, My Sexy is Strong, the Do Better podcast with Theo. Thank you for showing up and showing some of this. The 3D Radio Network sent me a couple super chats. I want to thank you for that. And then a couple other people that joined us, Squeegee Kid, First Man Jenkins, all you guys coming in supporting us today. And just join us next Tuesday evening, 7:35 Central Time, and we're gonna get it in a way that we've never gotten it in over here. Okay. All right, up, y'all. We'll see you.
I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win every day, I get it in. I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win every day, I get it in. I'm a king and I will never knew. Plotting for my fall, you getting hanged for treason. I don't aim to please, do anything I feel. Haters gonna talk, don't listen to the shit. They tryna be like me, they know they can, yo. Can't even get lost, I'm on a pedestal, sitting on my throne. My neck be decked in gold, I don't do no hoes, I got a queen though. I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win every day, I get it in. I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten,